Hello, this is RICKY, the Android guy. Today I'm doing a side-by-side comparison on the Acer A510 Olympic Edition and the Samsung Galaxy Tab 2 10.1. So starting off right back off the bat on the physical, you have a 5 megapixel camera here, 3 megapixel camera here. Both tablets display stereo speakers, whereas Acer has a Dolby Sound on the bottom of the tablet. Samsung has them on the front. Both of these tablets have a micro SD card slot. Samsung has it at the top, whereas Acer has it right here on the side. Acer, however, also has a micro HDMI port, which Samsung does not have. They offer a little dongle attachment to a full HDMI that will ring you up normal price $39. Now, another important thing to note: while both have different connections, the Acer one is the stock micro SD port, which they do give you a micro USB to full USB adapter coming right out of the box, which is nice because you can attach a flash drive to it or anything like that directly. Now, Samsung does sell an adapter for about $20 that you can connect to this. That'll get you that same USB female port, but it is a separate purchase and does not come with the device. Alright, now in terms of software, they both have fairly different kind of style. Acer modified the screen lock right on their tablet, so you can actually, it's not the stock one, you can actually go through different things right to a specific app right away. Whereas Samsung basically changed the entire interface with TouchWiz. So Samsung had a much stronger interface on top of 4.0, whereas Acer generally kept it stock with the exception of the Acer Ring, which is right here. And it's a nice little ring where you get all your bookmarks. You can put any 4 apps you want, including the search in the middle, and then the volume rocker right here on the side. So just some things to note. Whereas Samsung, you have a plethora of different things, such as like a screen capture button, to the little, it'll actually probably go there right now, to the little mini apps, which are very useful. I've used them plenty of times on my original Galaxy Tab, and the fact that it has Edit now definitely makes me think that there will be other apps that they probably release the SDK so the developers can make their own apps work with these mini apps. So that's pretty exciting. In terms of everything else, I do like the stock folders. I've said that time and time again, so that if you ever want to make a folder, it's just that easy. Whereas on the Samsung, you would have to basically hold down the app and then put it to the folder icon right here at the top. So it's just I do enjoy the stock experience a bit more. However, TouchWiz isn't slowed down. One thing definitely noticing compared to just regular Android. Although this one still is faster, it's actually because of the processor difference. So going right into that, this has a quad-core Tegra 3 processor, whereas this has a dual-core 1 GHz TI OpMap processor. So in terms of speed, you're definitely going to notice a difference that the Acer will be faster, but the Samsung Galaxy Tab 2 isn't any doesn't really have a lot of slowdown, which is nice. It just is pretty fast tablet for the price, which I'll go over later. Now, in terms of web browsing, how do they both compare to web browsing? Well, now you would expect everything to move faster with the Acer, but actually in terms of web browsing, to give an example, let's go down here. The Samsung is actually much more responsive, which surprised me. I definitely thought the Acer would have the faster web browsing simply because of the processor, but actually it's not true. Also, another thing, the colors definitely stand out more and are truer on the Samsung, so they just really just pop compared to the Acer. As you can even see, things like reds just stand out definitely a lot more on the Samsung. And that's just simply because the screen quality will be better overall. Now, in terms of music, I did notice that the Samsung was overall a bit better when it came to it. Let me just go to music player on each of these just to show you. Alright.
I came back for just to get to you like you asked for. Man, that thing in them chains too
So really clear.
So I caught off the back ball.
But on here,
Mama from a jail cell.
so while I will say this, these are probably some of the top 2 speakers out on tablets. But what just makes the biggest difference is because Samsung did something that no other tablet company has done, which is the speakers are on the front. And it just sounds better for that reason alone. Simply because when you're holding a tablet, the speakers come out through the backside. It's just not as clear, even if it's at the bottom. Which, on the Acers, they're not exactly at the bottom. They're a little further curved back, which just, again, makes it so that the sound isn't as good. So even though the Acer is definitely really great sound, overall it would go to the Samsung for music. So definitely something to note. Now, how about movie playback? Well, let's go right to it. Go to gallery, gallery. And let's go to it.
War has started. And we are hopelessly outgunned.
Director Fury, I think it's time.
You here with the mission, sir? Trying to get me back in the world? Trying to save it.
Doctor, I need you to come in.
What if I say no?
I'll persuade you.
What do you ask me to do?
Alright guys, so definitely in terms of video quality, you could notice the colors were easily better on the Samsung. The Acer did seem like it did, it showed blacks a bit lighter, whereas here it was a bit darker, truer to like black being black. So that is a preference, I would say. You know, so I personally like seeing blacks as black. Some people definitely like to see, you know, a brighter black so you can actually see what's going on. Sometimes in dark movies you can't tell everything that's going on because the screen is so dark. Now, one thing important to note is that the Samsung actually has a brighter screen. So if you're definitely seeing movies, say like outside most of the time or in fluorescent lighting, the Samsung you could see a lot better compared to the Acer, which just doesn't carry over against sunlight or anything like that too strongly, just because of the screen. It just isn't as bright and colorful. Alright, now in terms of the camera, cameras on tablets, I always say, you know, don't expect a lot. I always start off with that. But in terms of the camera quality on these two, took 2 pictures. So, first of all, when it comes to sharpness, I would give it to the Acer. The Acer has the overall slightly sharper, but definitely in the picture, while the Acer is sharper just because it has an autofocus, whereas the Samsung has a fixed focus, that's one thing that stands out in terms of the Acer. Now, when we go to color reproduction, however, though, it's easily the Samsung. Samsung actually has definitely a truer color in terms of greens, blues, yellows, and reds. It just definitely has colors that stand out and pop more. As well as the Acer just overexposes everything. This was also typically true in video. The Acer would do a little bit sharper on video quality, but at the same time, everything would look better on the Samsung just because all the colors and everything stood out more. So overall, I would give a slight advantage of the Samsung just because they look better. Even when you play them on, I took the videos both off and the photos both off and put them on a computer, and even though the Acer is a little bit sharper, overall, everything that I took looks a bit better from the Samsung. And this is slightly, so it's not like a dominating thing. But then again, it's a tablet camera, so it's just not going to be as good overall compared to like a phone or anything like that. Now, in terms of battery life, they both are pretty comparable, but the Acer has around an 11-hour battery life, whereas the Samsung typically lasts about 10 hours. Now, this is with average usage. If you do heavy usage, they both will go less, of course, and if you do light usage, you can easily last it 2 to 3 days, which I have on both of these tablets while using them. Now, finally, price. The Acer, for some reason, is still going for $449, which I expect it to drop just because, as far as I know, they haven't really sold at that price point. Whereas the Samsung for $399 has sold dramatically. It really is a great tablet for the price just because of the interface and really simple way that TouchWiz does, which a lot of people like. I personally like stock more, but a lot of people like the simplicity of TouchWiz, and hey, you got to give the customers what they want. Alright guys, so for the conclusion, I decided to do something different from every other comparison that I've ever seen online. A lot of people do number rankings, a lot of people do, you know, clear winners, but they don't say why or for what. So for me, I'm actually going to do a list of categories and which tablet is better for which categories. So here you go. I'm bringing them up right now. And the Samsung Galaxy Tab 2 10.1 versus the Acer A510. Let's go over the different categories. So for look and feel goes to the Samsung simply because it's lighter weight. It doesn't weigh down as much as the Acer, which is noticeably heavier. And just overall feel is a little bit better. Now for battery life, obviously that goes to the Acer A510. It has a longer battery life and it just will last longer. Web browsing goes to the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1 just because it's going to be a better web experience. You saw yourself, the web browsing is better on it. For gaming, easily the Acer just because of the fact that it has a Tegra 3 processor which is made for gaming and is compatible with more games. So you will be happier for a gaming experience with the Acer. In terms of music and movies, these two will both go to the Samsung just because of the nicer, richer speakers. Also, you have things such as equalizers and things like that built into it, which just make it better coming out of the box. Now, in terms of Acer, it does win the extras. It's really nice that they include the USB adapter coming right out of the box, as well as you also have a micro HDMI. So you have that right out of the box. So you have a micro HDMI port, and you actually get the cable to connect a USB to it coming out of the box. So they would win the extras. In terms of camera, overall it would go to the Samsung just because it also has a lot of different settings and effects that you can do that the Acer just doesn't. So while the cameras are pretty close and the Acer is slightly sharper while the Samsung colors better, overall it would go to the Samsung just because it has different effects and different things you can do, although the Acer has the better focus. So it really is a very thin line on this one, and I'll give you guys that. But overall, it just would go to the Samsung just because you have a lot of effects that you can do to it, and you can always get other apps to do those effects. But just coming out of the box, it's a better choice. Now, price would easily go to Samsung just because it is $50 less, and you get a really good experience from a tablet. So there you guys have it. Out of the categories, the one who has the most wins. So for this side-by-side comparison, it would be the Samsung Galaxy Tab 2 10.1. If you guys have any questions between the tablets, feel free to ask. This has been RCKY, the end.